What? It's time for another random content swerve. Let's do some Final Fantasy challenges, shall we? I've been a fan of Final Fantasy since I was a wee little child, so it's about time I dive into doing a challenge run in this series. I'm really curious to see how this goes. Just like Souls games, there is definitely an emphasis in this series on variety and using a wide range of tools to overcome challenges. What happens when my only option is to shoot magic lasers? Hopefully something good. We start this challenge with the OG, Final Fantasy I, albeit the Pixel Remaster, which mechanically sticks pretty close to the original release, but looks less messy, and I already have it on Steam. Let's dive in. First, I have to assemble my party. Normally you choose a diverse cast of fighters to face the rest of the game with. I will be choosing 4 identical robed mages. I name my boys Zeph, Rost, Gam, and Ing, which is very funny for about 2 seconds, because I won't actually be keeping them in this order in combat for very long, for reasons I will now explain. First is that enemies tend to target characters higher in your party, and attack party members lower in the order less. Normally you'd put your bulky fighters up top, and squishy mages down lower. Except I have only one variety of person on my team, and so why do I have to rearrange them? Because, for reasons unclear to me, stat growth in this game is a little random. In fact, it's quite random. Look at these different HP totals after a few levels, and now look at these HP totals near the end of the game. So, if I want to maximize my whole team survivability, I need to put my comparatively well HP endowed party members at the top. Except this keeps changing as I level, so if you see my channel name continue to rotate around in dumb ways, feel free to subscribe anyway. Anyway, now that the boys are assembled, we need to grind out some money to afford the early game spells. Ooh, what are boosts? Okay, more XP and gold. I know these are intended to help players by making the game easier, but to be blunt, this first game in the series is aggressively grindy. I'm not going to turn on any boosts yet, but I will keep them in mind. Wow, you can buy a lot of healing items very early in this game. I wonder if that stockpile continues to expand as you get further in. Oh well, a lot of this is going to be very useful soon, and by soon, I of course mean now, because I need to use items to heal, because I don't otherwise have any healing options. On to the Chaos Shrine, where we face our first boss, Garland. Beat him up by just spamming magic spells. The fight itself isn't difficult, but we're still very early on. We head back to Cornelia, and we get applauded for beating up the first boss using easily purchasable spells. Then a cutscene. Then another cutscene. Why are there so many cutscenes in this game? The bridge is fixed, and it's on to Provoca. The journey is a bit of a struggle because my boys die from basically anything. Hopefully we can fix that soon. We can't. Beat up some pirates, steal their ship, and it's already time to grind again. This grind lets us buy new spells and equipment from the shops before we set off across the sea to Elfheim, where the grind continues, because we can now access brand new equipment and level 3 and level 4 spells, all of which are super expensive. And the difference in HP totals means rearranging my boys every couple levels to keep the high HP ones in the front. Head over to the Marsh Cave several times. The journey is long and riddled with random encounters, but the XP and gold are marginally better over there. After a few trips, I can come back with more potions and tents. Still can't afford a third of the spells I want, but hey, that's FF1, baby. The Marsh Cave boss is a bunch of mind flayers. It takes a couple tries to not get immediately bodied, but quick save exists in this version, and my magic is actually pretty devastating. We have reclaimed the crown that was here, for some reason. Time to go fight a dark elf. Into the Western Keep, and it's time to fight Astos, the dark elf. This fight goes very quickly thanks to spamming magic, but my mages are very clearly not as durable as I'd want them to be. Damage good, health bad. I never realized how much of this early game was just an extended fetch quest. Take the crystal eye we got from Astos to this cave witch Matoya. She gives us a jolt potion, which sounds like an energy drink with too much caffeine in it. But we give it to the light elf king to wake him up, and he gives us the mystic key. We take this and run around gathering some formerly locked chests before giving some dwarves some high-yield explosives. This opens a path to our next town, Melmund. This means better equipment and higher level spells. Pay no attention to all the spells we still haven't been able to afford. And if you noticed I haven't talked that much about fights, that is not a mistake, because basically every fight is cast spells until enemies dead, then rest. Don't worry, we're getting to the part where I can't just win fights by spamming fire too. Alright, we've reached the turn on boost section of the playthrough. 2 times EXP and gold will help make this incredibly grindy game less grindy. May also have turned off encounters at some points to save time, who can say? Into the Earth Cave and we encounter another boss. Briefly concerned when it takes out over half one of my mage's health in one attack, then he gets 2 shot, so, alright then. The Star Ruby gets delivered to a golem, this old man then gives us an earth rod, and we're back into the cave. Wow, so many of these chests are just monsters. After exploring, I reach the first proper boss, and first of the 4 elemental fiends. We'll see how my party can stand up to this, and he drops after 2 rounds of Firaga. Am I over-leveled? Nope, Lich is just weak to fire, and the game was not expecting 8 casts of Firaga that quickly. We have free reign in the open seas, so it's time for Crescent Lake and some more new magic. That gold boost is really helpful in not making me grind infinitely. Time for a boat ride to Gulg Volcano. Another dungeon with mostly monsters in chests. I wonder if that's just the case with every dungeon from here on out. And we are already at our second fiend, Merilith. And it doesn't go great. Her physical attacks are strong enough to kill any of my party members in a single hit, and then Firaga takes out just under half my entire party's HP. She is also resistant to all magic I have access to. So that's not good. Time to problem solve. Okay, so she is apparently weak to paralysis. So let's dip from this dungeon, grab a spell, and come back. Except weak to paralysis is a lie. It takes 5 casts to paralyze her 1 time, and it lasts a whole 0 turns. This thing of bosses being weak to a status is going to be an ongoing thing. Okay, but she is vulnerable to slow, and that doesn't expire once it hits. So pop that, and nice. This reduces her physical attack damage down to about 1/3 of my health, rather than all of it. This means I can heal with potions while chipping away with my very weak spells. Second fiend down. From Volcano to Ice Cavern, all to grab this Levistone. Taking this Levistone to this unmarked desert gets us an airship, which was just here, I guess. Was the Levistone a key component? Was it the keys? Why is this even here? Fine, I guess, I'll take it. This means we can fly over most areas. Into the town of Gaia, and they have a bunch of new spells, and equally important, better armor. My mages will never be durable in this run, but they are now at least more durable. Into the Citadel of Trials to get a rat tail the Dragon God needs to upgrade our classes, which is a lot of sentence to unpack, but there is simply not enough time. There is, however, time to rejoice over the healing staff. Black mages can't equip it, but it can be used from the inventory to heal my entire party. Not a lot, but it raises my healing options from trash potions to mediocre all heal, which I will take. Take that rat tail back to Bahamut, and look, my boys have graduated and are now black wizards. Which, yes, technically not black mages anymore, but oh no, I don't care. Diversion to upgrade classes completed, it's time to head for our next dungeon. By walking into this completely unmarked spot in the desert, we can access this oasis caravan. Don't know who he thinks he's going to sell to, but I guess I showed up, so maybe that's on me. I buy this ferry and take it back to its home in Onrak, and it's free, apparently, and I'm out 50,000 gold. But in exchange for freeing her, which is definitely what happened, she gives us some oxy ale, which I think is just a barrel full of oxygen to breathe underwater? Now that we can breathe underwater, we can take this submarine down to the water shrine. And if you are increasingly feeling like this game is a Mad Lib, you are not alone. This is nonsense. Also, if your submarine doesn't let you breathe underwater, I don't think that's a submarine. I think that's lead shoes with extra steps. But fine. Down to the water shrine. There are indeed mermaids. Huh. Okay then. Time for the third fiend, because we are just chugging along. Kraken is normally a pretty tough fight, except he is weak to thunder damage, so much like Lich before him, I can just spam Thundaga. It also helps that he spends his only 3 rounds casting Blind on characters that don't use physical attacks. Alright, time to spend even more money trying to get my magic options topped off. In addition to some useful spells, I take some time to buy some of the low-level spells I didn't bother with earlier. Not because they are good, but because it annoys me to have all these open magic slots. Dive into a waterfall and pick up a second ribbon. No idea when or where I got the first ribbon, but my notes assure me this is the second one. Ribbons are very useful in this game, because they make the character resistant to all elements, and most instant death attacks. Since my characters can't otherwise equip headgear anyway, this is just a straight upgrade. Too bad there are only 3 of them. This robot has been waiting for us, somehow. He gives us a Rosetta Stone, for some reason, which we have to take back to a scientist in Melmond. Even though I've played this game before, I am feeling increasingly baffled by the plot. Who is this robot? Why is he waiting for us? How would I possibly know to go to Melmond and give some random dude this Rosetta Stone? This game was definitely an NES game. Anyway, the scientist uses the Rosetta Stone to decipher the ancient language of Lufenia, which is then taught to us, all in the span of a few minutes. Alright then, time to head to Lufenia. We get a bell we need to unlock the next dungeon, and they also sell Flare, the strongest spell in the game. I can't afford it yet, but getting 4 copies of this is my new goal. We use the bell to access Mirage Tower and get just a bunch of money. I can absolutely buy some flares now, and I find 2 healing helms. These work exactly like the healing staff, letting me use them from the menu to heal my entire party. Just a little bit. I'm actually accruing a decent number of items that I can use from my inventory. That should be very helpful as I get into the endgame. Then it's time for the fight with the 4th fiend, Tiamat. She's vulnerable to instant death, allegedly. I try spamming death attacks and yeah, it does not work at all. I could go all the way back to Lufenia to grab the flares I should have grabbed earlier, but instead I'm going to try my backup strat. I use a combination of Saber, Temper, and Haste to boost my frontline Black Mage's physical attacks, then just spam healing items from my inventory and attack. This takes a while, and my 4th mage dies because this game only has 3 ribbons, but after a while it is enough to bring down Tiamat. And with the last of the 4 fiends dead, we are in the endgame. It's time to hop back to the Chaos Shrine where we fought Garland so long ago, because it's time to bring down Chaos.
Chaos.
This last area is basically just an extended boss rush, so let's go through them. Lich requires the same level of strategy as last time. Just spam Firaga to take advantage of his weakness to fire. The battle is quick and without real challenge. Slowra is more reliable than Slow against Marilith, and weakens her ability to hit as hard as she does. Then cast Flare with everyone. This bypasses her elemental resistance entirely and gives an easy enough victory. Kraken has decided it's no longer happy being spammed with thunder magic while it casts pointless status effects. Instead, I need to use Slowra again to weaken its physical attacks. Honestly really surprised at how many status effects have been relevant in this game. They normally tend to be not super impactful in a standard playthrough. With Slowra weakening physical attacks, it's time to spam healing items and cast Thundaga. Except Flare actually does more damage, so spam that instead. Not a boss to talk about, but right before the next fight we get the Masamune. This is a powerful endgame weapon that has the unique quality of being equipable by all classes. This will be incredibly useful for the last few fights. Now that I have Masamune, I can ignore the increasingly less effective magic and focus on the way this game really wants you to play, which is by casting Saber, Haste, and Temper to boost a single physical attacker, aka the Black Mage wielding the Masamune. Combining this with the Healing Helms and Healing Staff mean I can spam this combo to stay at full health and bring down Tiamat. All that remains is the final boss, Chaos himself, and he completely destroys my entire team with a single spell. Excuse me? Okay, so this is kind of wild, and by wild, I mean really bad game design. I just took down Tiamat, the second to last boss in the game, with relative ease, and then the final boss is completely out of my league. And it really highlights the limitations of the all-Black Mage run. My damage against Chaos is pretty bad. Chaos has strong magical resistances, making all my spells useless. The only way for me to deal reasonable damage is buffing up my physical attacker, but that takes time. Time Chaos does not give me. And my group healing is not great either. Casting all 3 of my group healing items only restores about 150 to 160 HP. That's about as much as a high potion, which is not good. The fact that shops didn't really expand their selection across the game does not help. And that wouldn't be too bad, except my single target healing is also limited to 150 HP. There are X potions in this game, but they are a drop from an enemy, and to be frank, really wouldn't be that helpful. Because Chaos is faster than my entire party, so I can't really target allies with heals, as I don't know who will need it. And the speed makes proactive healing impossible to predict because I need to know who Chaos will target, which I do not. And of course, durability. Flare can one-shot half my team, and once Chaos casts Haste on himself, he can deal 800 damage with a single attack. Which is not, good, and yes, he can in theory be slowed, and I spent several dozen attempts trying to land slow a single time. No thank you. My solutions to this problem are also pretty limited. I don't have any better healing items, except X potions that I could farm from an enemy, except my poor speed means they won't help. There is a wildly improbable series of moves that could maybe lead to victory, but that's a way off. Oh, and Chaos can cast Hirag on himself when he thinks I'm getting uppity to restore 10,000 HP, because why not? Okay, let's try something. Now that I've bought the Fairy, the Oasis Merchant sells expensive tonics that boost stats. Most of these are worthless, but there is a giant tonic which boosts attack. If I buy a bunch of these and just full offensive use them on my Masamune mage, maybe that'll work, because attack boosts actually stack in this game. It doesn't, at least not yet, but it does get much better than any less aggressive strategy. Okay, that means it's time to turn the EXP boost up to ×4, which thank goodness for the boost. I'll try a couple times every couple levels and see how well I can do. While that cycles through in the background, I just want to ask, who balanced this fight? I took down Tiamat with a good strategy and relative ease, and now I'm grinding up level after level because Chaos does not care about game balance. Like, yeah, this is a challenge run, but this doesn't feel like a natural progression of difficulty compared to the rest of the game. Like, why does Chaos have 20,000 HP when the penultimate boss only has 5,000? And why can he also heal 10,000 HP with a single spell? I have some strong opinions about this boss's stats, but finally, after going from level 35 to level 60, I finally managed to power through this brick wall and bring down Chaos for the final time. Well, that sure was something. I was really unsure how Black Mages would fare weathering this game. It's grindy, though less so thanks to the boosts, and the lack of durability and healing I knew would be a challenge. But honestly, most of it wasn't too bad. I had to use some unorthodox strategy, use status effects I normally wouldn't have bothered with, but I made it through, and then Chaos was just a huge pain in the butt. Thank goodness for the EXP boost, and that I turned it on when I did. Really meant I could just focus on the actual challenge of the run and not have to grind so much at the end. So that was interesting. I'm really curious to see how this challenge expands as we move into our next game, Final Fantasy V. So tune in next Friday for that video, subscribe to the channel for that, and have a lovely day.